Hello, everyone. Professor Torres here for another lesson in our 21st century skills, learning, and development. For this session, we're going to look at the value chain and the future of the 21st century work. I'd like to start by bringing you back to the economic stages that we learned in the previous video. So we have seen there in the economic stage that it started with the agricultural stage and then moving forward to the industrial age. And the last on that ladder is the knowledge age and value chain. I would like to show this value change to show you the difference between the then and the now. I don't want to go as backward as the agricultural stage because that's too far. I want you to look at this industrial age value chain. Let's say, for example, we are looking into a product that we would like to sell in the market. And assuming that product is a washing machine. Okay, so extraction does not apply to a washing machine because we don't get the product from the land or as a natural resource. But instead, what we use are the different materials that we need to manufacture the product first. Like, for example, as we imagine a washing machine, it needs a tub, the one where you put the water, and it needs an engine that makes it rotate to wring the clothes and to make it clean. And also, there are other parts, like, for example, the one that you touch if it's a touch screen and program the machine. So, in other words, in the manufacturing stage, we manufacture this product. It doesn't come as magic. It has to start from something. And that something is what we call the raw materials. So once we process that raw materials, that becomes now the stage of what we call manufacturing. After we have gathered all the materials for assembling the washing machine, we now move to the next stage, which is the assembly. So the assembly, simply putting it in a way that we put the things together so that we can come up with an actual unit of what we call a washing machine. Once the washing machine has been assembled, it's now ready to be marketed. Why do we need to market the washing machine? So that people will know that this washing machine exists and that from that information, we can probably distribute the products to different parts of maybe Korea or different countries of the world. And now we move to the products. We move to the product stage wherein that product is ready for use by the consumer. Okay. However, when we buy a washing machine, that needs to be tapped to the water pipe and another needs to be tapped to a drain so that there is a water that will flow in the washing machine as you do the laundering, and there's also a way of draining the water from the washing machine. In other words, what I would like to make mention is the need for a service person. The service person, once you buy the washing machine, will probably do the setting up for you, connecting the a link to the water and connecting one pipe to the drain. That's why we say that when we buy the product, together with the product comes the service. Okay, so that's the stage that we follow or that we go through when we look back at the industrial age. Moving forward to what we have now and we most of what most of the companies would have is the knowledge age value chain. I always emphasize the importance of being smart, of knowing a lot about anything or of having a lot of knowledge. Why? Let's look at the knowledge age value chain and see the difference on what goes through this process if we look at the knowledge age value chain. First, we have the data. What is that data? That data can be anything. Anything in a form of maybe numbers, or I would say letters, or a combination of numbers and letters and are, a series of it. So that's data. If we can now understand that data that we're talking about, that next stage is what we call information. So information is something that we receive. It is something that is delivered to us. If it's a news, it is something that we read, something that we see from the internet. So in short, when we say information, it is anything that gives us something. It informs us, okay? Now, if you think that information would help you into, let's say, for example, doing something like you want to invent a new coffee concoction. Like nowadays, we have the macchiato, we have the latte, we have the cappuccino, and then suddenly, out of that information that you got, you thought of something, a new product, a new coffee concoction. And from that information that you gather, that can be from another country, that can be from another person, that can be from anywhere, that will serve as a knowledge to you. So now, okay, you have those information, and the knowledge is something that you can use to produce something. Like as I said, going back to my previous example, you have a coffee concoction. You created a coffee concoction. Now, that coffee concoction will not just stay in there with you, okay? You want to make money out of that coffee concoction. That's the time now that the knowledge, of course, you become an expert in concocting or in trying to balance the ingredients of that coffee, will now be marketed. Okay? And when we say marketed, not just the coffee per se, but the information. Like, for example, what kind of beans is the best for that coffee concoction, what are the ingredients, what kind of ingredients that you're going to use, and how do you prepare it. And so you market it. Market in such a way that people will be interested to buy that. So you may have two options: selling your recipe for money, or selling your recipe and at the same time the ingredients of that coffee concoction to the market. So what I want to drive at this point is the information that started, the information that you have just received gave you the idea about something, and you develop that idea into a physical product like the new coffee concoction. You become an expert in coming up with that coffee concoction, and you offered it to the market because you think that it's something that makes the market interested and try your product. So two options: either you sell the recipe or you sell the ingredients of the product to come up with something. So what's the point here? The point here in the knowledge age value chain is we value more, not the physical contribution of a person, but we value more the knowledge, the mental contribution of the person into the economy. And that's why we call it the knowledge age value chain. I know this is a little bit, I would say, complicated still, probably, but I would like to, repeat this explanation once we see each other online. Okay. Now, let's move into another illustration on the point that I am driving at. Okay, let's look back at how things are produced. There was a time that things are produced by people. So it's a pyramid because this is how we would like to position ourselves in the near future. So we started with the routine work which is done by people. In less developed countries, they're not yet here, okay? And so people who are usually interested to make money would do some routine work, like a factory work. Now, once that country and once the economy improved, they still do the routine work, but this time with the help of some machines. So here, basically, it's just all people. Here, we have a combination of people and machines. The machines will not be able to function without the supervision of and the assistance of what we call people. Now, in what we're trying to foresee as the future of the workplace, we see at the workplace that will be a venue or a space for creative work. This one. What is creative work? Creative work means not just doing the routine that we have here down below the pyramid, but to do some research in order to come up with a new product, in order to innovate something, in order to develop something that will make life simple, that will help other people in whatever field we think that will be helpful. And so part of that development is also designing, like doing the prototype, doing the pattern for what we think is a good idea. And then together with that would be the marketing and sales of that product and the global distribution of that product. Meaning to say, we are not limited only to the selling of our product in a small place or in a small community, but rather we are looking at the global market to offer this creative work. And so the reason why I am showing you this pyramid, it's because I want you, students, all of you, to be here and not just to be here. Okay? So Ghana, there are so many competitions here as well as here, but there are less competition here and has bigger earnings. Okay, so if I'm going to ask you, where do you want to be when you graduate? Of course, all of you will say that you want to be here, wherein there's less physical labor, but more of the thinking. Now, you don't just wish to be here, it has to be done, it has to be programmed, it has to be in you. And the only way for you to do that would be to get the formula, to get the secret on how you can be on this top, on how you can be at the apex of the triangle. Okay. Now, because we're talking about that, let us see how we can be on the top. Let us see how we can position ourselves at the apex of the triangle. And so that's why in this next session, we will look at learning and earning. Learning and earning. That's why I said there is a formula. That's why I said there is a way in order for you to be on that top. And that is by learning. And as you learn more things, the bigger the possibility of earning more. And so for this point, we would like to talk about the future of work and careers. Okay. Now, if you will see in this slide, these are HR managers. HR managers who are talking about the prospects, their prospects or the potential employees of their organizations. Okay? And one is asking, are students graduating from schools really ready to do the work? So, Assuming that that question is for you, what is your answer? Are you really ready to do the work? Okay? So, you can keep the answer to yourself, but this is a good question to ask yourself and check whether you are ready to be in the workplace. Okay. Now, if you want to really know our position of being able to work on the top of that pyramid, we have some skills that you need to check in you. Meaning to say, you have to take a self inventory of what you have as a would be workforce in the industry that you are choosing. First and foremost, ask yourself, do you have the oral and written communications? Maybe you will say, yes, I'm very good in speaking Hangul. I can write it well. Okay, good and perfect. But remember the fact that nowadays in Korea, most of the chaebol, when you apply for work, they ask for your TOEIC score. They ask if you know another language. And so you can ask yourself, how is your fluency or how is your skill in terms of oral and written communications? Maybe in English, maybe in Japanese, or in Chinese. Another question that you have to ask yourself is, do you have the skills related to critical thinking and problem solving? Meaning to say, if you know how to think critically, you can weigh the uh, the solutions to a problem. You can check or you can probably analyze the pros and the cons. Look at the positive and the negative of the choices that you have and probably come up with the best decision. We cannot say it's a best decision if you don't have choices. And in life, the best decision comes up or comes out from several choices. So ask yourself, do I have this critical thinking and problem solving skills? Okay. Another thing that you will check yourself is, do you have that professionalism and work ethic? Were you able to develop professionalism and maybe the work ethics as during your stay in the university? A simple example of professionalism is that we can apply when we are still in the university is, coming to class or showing up to your classes before the time. That's a sign of professionalism. Another sign of professionalism is, are you able to talk to your professors, to people who are in this university with respect? Do you know how to address them properly? Do you know how to call them by their title? And in relation to work ethics could be, do you know how to submit your project on the given deadline? Do you know how to work on the project efficiently and effectively? Okay? Another skill that you have to check on yourself, another set would be the teamwork and collaboration. Do you know how to work well in a team? Do you know how to be a team player? Do you know how to collaborate with people? Meaning to say how you do the project together without having issues, without having fights or even conflict. And also ask yourself, can you work in diverse teams? When I say diverse teams, it means that in the team that you will be joining or in a certain unit of the organization or department, they usually don't have a homogeneous makeup of people. When I say homogeneous, meaning to say there's just one race, like all Korean. Nowadays, we are living in a global workplace. So, meaning to say, if it's a global workplace, you will be working with people from other countries. Are you able to work with them? Okay? And also ask yourself, how many how is my technological skills? Am I good at doing presentation? Am I good at, finding my Zoom room? Or am I good uh, in doing some presentation of numbers using Excel? So ask yourself about that, because I don't think that there will be an organization that doesn't need technology. Most of the businesses now have adapted and embraced technology as part of their organization, or as part as their business performance. And last but not the least is ask yourself, are you capable of leading a diverse group, and doing some project without too much supervision? If your answer is yes to all these applied skills, congratulations. You can be on the top of the triangle. However, if you're doubting yourself and you say, yeah, I realize I need those skills, then we will be walking together, we will be journeying together for you to find out how to invest in yourself, how to strengthen your skills, and how to better prepare yourself for that workplace waiting for you. Okay? Next, just to prove my point, uh, this is not according to me, but according to the survey and the research done by the many management companies with regards to the 21st century workplace. Majority of these researches and surveys said that there is a gap. So you see, it's not connected. There's a gap between the 21st century workplace and the people or the potential employees of this 21st century workplace. And when there's a gap, now a gap would mean an issue, and that can be a negative issue to the extent that that will not make the organization function well. And so, what people or what businesses are trying to do in order to fill this gap is to invest on money. So, how do they invest on money? What do they do with the money? They use their money, they use their assets in order to develop these people. So if they want the people, they really put an investment to each and every one that they like by investing on training them and developing them. Okay? And it means that it's a lot of money for the organization. That's why they say that the competitiveness and the wealth of corporations in countries as well are completely dependent on having a well educated workforce. But, teacher, I have a high GPA, I have a high TOEIC score. That's just a paper. Okay? That's just a paper. The GPA is only a paper that will prove the way you perform in the university. The TOEIC is the same, it's the paper. But the thing that they're looking for is the actual. How is your output? How do you deliver the expectations of the organization? Okay? And so, as we look at this one, I would like to highlight the importance of learning. I would like to highlight the importance of education towards the development of corporations and countries as well. Okay? Next, thus, we can say that the more that you know, the better is your earning. And this is what we would like to say. Learning is earning. The more you know, the better your earnings can become. So the learning can be measured against the earning that you can possibly make, right? So who wants to earn less? Nobody. Nobody wants to earn less. However, why is education falling short in preparing students for the 21st century work? It's because that there is actually a gap, okay? And if we will look at this, in the knowledge age, people are trained to do routine manual thinking skills, meaning to say they need not to think. There's always something, there's always a resource like a manual that they can consult if in case they encounter an issue as they do the work. Okay? However, in the knowledge age, aside from that thinking skills, aside from the manual probably that you have, they need higher levels of knowledge and acquired skills. So what is that higher levels of knowledge and applied skills? We have talked about that previously when I asked you to take an inventory of what you have and also hear what the businesses are looking for are expert thinkers, people who can think, people who need not to be supervised, people who can work independently. So, an expert thinker is what they need in the organization. And they also need someone who can do some complex communication. What is complex communication? Communication is not just face to face, it can also be written, it can also be in through technology, communicating with the technology, or it can also be communicating with people from another language and from another culture. And so, in short, again, they need higher levels of knowledge and acquired skills. So, in this knowledge age, in this 21st century, we can say that there is a rising demand for a highly skilled workforce. A rising demand for a highly skilled workforce. Gone are the days that people should just know how to read and write, because the less educated and unskilled people, they usually earn less or probably minimum, or sometimes if there's a lot of supply, even less than minimum. And if you are the person who represents the highly educated and the highly skilled, look at how you look. Look at what you can do. And so, there is an income gap as well. And at this point, you can ask yourself, where do I want to be? Do I want to be here on the left side, or do I want to be here on the right side? Nobody can decide for you. It's you who will decide for yourself. Okay? So, our world's education systems must now prepare the students. So the preparation is not just only coming from the individual, but together with you is the society. Together with you is the education system. Together with you are your parents. So you are not alone in the learning process, because there are formal learnings that can help you be better prepared. Now, there are two essential set skills that we need for us to be better prepared in this 21st century workplace. First is the ability to acquire and apply new knowledge. What is that new knowledge? New knowledge can be the inclusion of digital technologies. That's just one example. New knowledge can be another language, another example. New knowledge can be the knowledge about critical thinking and problem solving. And also the know how to apply essential 21st century skills, which I have just mentioned and I keep on mentioning over and over again to emphasize the importance of this essential 21st century skills. We have problem solving, another is communication, another skill is teamwork, and next is technology use, and the last on this group is innovation. So we have to have this. And that is the reason why we are trying to understand what do we have in us at the moment and what do we need to acquire for the future. Don't look back. It will not help you. Look at the present moment. What are you capable of doing now? And what can you be capable of doing in the future? So there's time, and that time is now. Time to invest in yourself in order to prepare yourself to a better future. And so, as I've said, the answer to that is education. So I know that you are educating yourself and that you are taking some extra courses or maybe you're going to a special school. That's good. But of course, as you are now in the university that represents the education of the country is very important and has a role to play in developing the person. Okay? So you have seen the video presentation about the role of education, and I want you now to connect what we have talked about in connection to the value chains. We compare the value chain of the industrial age and the knowledge chain, and we have emphasized the importance of education and the importance of acquiring these skills so that you are better prepared for the 21st century workplace that you are eyeing to be in the next few months, maybe, or in the coming years when you finish in the university. So that's all, and I'll see you on the next lesson. Thank you for listening.